Hello, y'all. Welcome to the fourth episode of 10 Years in Bed, a podcast, a mental health podcast for the mentally ill by the mentally ill. My name is Allison. I am your host. Some of you guys know me as Tism Pump on Instagram. And today we are going to be talking about anxiety and self-doubt. So anxiety is when there's like excessive fear involving future events, okay? While self-doubt is kind of a lack of confidence in one's own abilities. So when you combine them, it can form this really vicious cycle where your anxious thoughts fuel your self-doubt and then vice versa. And I wanted to talk about something that happened to me recently when it came to anxiety and self-doubts and my ability to kind of form new friendships. So a couple months ago, I started hanging out with two girls from my gym. And I would say probably about a month ago, they asked me to join them to do like a gluten hamstring workout. And when I was with them, one of them I had already become friends with, but the other one was a new friend. And when I was with them and training with them, the entire time I couldn't stop thinking, this is not going well. Like, it's not going well. I felt weird about it. I felt like I was being weird. And it just wasn't going well. Like, that was my perception of it, right? And I find that every single time I hang out with new friends, I'm always left questioning myself because I don't have the ability to read behavior super well. So sometimes I just don't know how things go. And we trained glutes and hams for probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And as we left, they were together talking and I left and walked to my car. And out loud, I said to myself, that didn't go well. That didn't go well. It didn't go well at all. And I remember getting in my car and saying to myself, I'm never doing that again. Never. And I called my mom and I was freaking out because I was just I don't understand what's wrong with me. Why am I so weird? Why don't I have the ability to form friendships? What the fuck is wrong with me that I just can't be normal and just have a nice little cutesy time? Do you know what I mean? And a couple days later, I invited one of the girls on a hike, and her and I went on a hike. We talked and we formed a friendship. And I was talking to her about how I usually spend the holidays alone. And shortly after, she actually invited me to spend the holidays with her and her family. And I remember thinking, oh my God, because I had just posted a video of myself kind of having a mental breakdown. And I was she literally feels bad for me. This is why she's inviting me. It's literally, she's doing it because she doesn't want me to kill myself. Is that what it is? I just had so much anxiety and self-doubt about the whole thing because I was why would someone want to hang out with me? And then I realized that I literally need to heal my inner child a lot, a lot more. I have to do a lot of inner child work and a lot of healing work because I think on a base level, I inherently believe that I'm not worthy of love. And on the hike, I had spoken with her about this, and I've brought this up to her so many times where I feel like I'm being weird or I'm questioning my behavior, and I'm constantly just asking am I being okay? Did you enjoy yourself? Is this all right? And it's really a reflection of how I actually feel about myself. And again, I feel deep down, I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of friendships. I'm not worthy of people liking me, and past relationships have taught me this. And I have so much self-doubt when it comes to other people's perceptions of me. And I still, I spend so much time worrying about other people's perceptions of me. And I'm not talking about physically, because at the end of the day, I am who I am physically, and I'm okay with that. But it's more when I feel people's perceptions of my values and morals don't align with who I believe firmly to be who I am. When I'm in a position when someone is questioning my integrity and it doesn't line up with who I know that I am to be, that's when it really upsets me. But what I've learned recently is life is truly like a mirror. And I've had so many people actually bring that up to me. And I did a little bit of research into it, and it makes a lot of sense. People tend to project their insecurities and their inner struggles onto you. I found this has happened to me so much recently, but I also found myself doing that to one of my new friends. And I saw her interacting with people at our gym, and I felt this like intense jealousy and rage. And I actually talked to her about it in the moment when I was feeling it. And I was like, I just saw the way that she interacted with people and how confident she was and the way she moved and how she carried herself. And I just thought like, fuck, no, like why? And then I was like, let's take a second, let's go back into self and let's evaluate, why is this upsetting you? Why is her existing and just speaking to other people like upsetting you on such a deep level? And it's because I don't feel that confident. I don't move in that way. I'm not that charismatic. I'm not that magnetic in the way that she is. And I felt really intimidated by her because it's something that I really want to get better at. And I actually talked to her about it, and she was like, girl, why are you feeling that way? Why are you jealous? And I was like, I think I just need to do some inner work, to be honest. But like, there are moments also where you need to, in moments where you feel like you're being attacked, where you're either like on the receiving end of being attacked or you're attacking yourself, where you have to be like, okay, let's evaluate this. Is this actually a shortcoming of mine? Or is it possible that my existence has inspired self-doubt in someone and they're taking it out on me? So in the scenario that I just described, it was like role reversal, right? Where I was experiencing self-doubt and I didn't take it out on her. It was just a thought that I had, and I had talked to her about it. But I've experienced that a lot recently, where I feel as though people have been attacking me for things that I've been doing because they feel like there's like a shortcoming in their life. And that's not my problem. I feel like this episode fucking sucks. I feel like I'm all over the place. I just don't know. I think at the end of the day, we all have this tendency to tell ourselves these stories that aren't like based in reality. That's really what anxiety is just story formulation that's not based off of any real or scientific data. It's just based off of our own lived experiences and our own traumas. And it's how we base all of our decision making and all of our thought processes. And it's just not cute. It's not the vibe. The problem is that when you're experiencing anxiety, your sympathetic nervous system is compromised. So you go into fight or flight. And that looks like increased heart rate, tensed muscles, dilated pupils, and rapid breathing, right? And when you're in fight or flight, you are extremely dysregulated. And there are only certain ways that you can get rid of that. And one of those things that I've learned is by expelling physical energy. And you can do this in a variety of ways. One thing that's very common for people when they're experiencing high levels of anxiety is doing breath work, trying to control your breathing, meditation. But for me, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm having like a panic attack or an anxiety attack, I've tried to just sit down and do some box breathing or do CO2 training or something. But like, when you are that fucking dysregulated, sometimes it's hard to take pause and be like, maybe I should do some breath work right now. And one way that I deal with anxiety at times is by expelling physical energy and going to the gym. And when my mind is racing, if I am at the gym, I have a tendency to do cardio, and that really helps me expel physical energy. That being said, sometimes it's not fucking effective. Like, I was at the gym today and I came in, I had a good attitude, I was in a good mood, and then I was doing deadlifts in the squat rack, and one of my gym crushes came and started squatting in my rack, and he was like super close to me, and it made me really, really anxious and really dysregulated, to the point where I was kind of having like a sensory meltdown. And this is where the autism kind of came into play. When the anxiety kind of goes up, everything else gets exacerbated. And I was having sensory issues with my bra, where I was feeling this tightness in my chest and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I knew on like an intellectual level that my bra wasn't actually making it impossible for me to breathe, because I took my bra off and guess what? My chest was still tight and I was still having a hard time breathing. So like sometimes shit just doesn't work. Like sometimes when you're so fucking dysregulated, you can try to do a bunch of different things and expel energy in different ways, but like sometimes you're just fucking dysregulated, and there's nothing that you can do when you're experiencing anxiety, because when you are in fight or flight mode and your sympathetic nervous system is activated, there's no amount of self-talk and trying to rationalize the situation that will help get you out of that state and get you into a parasympathetic state. Sometimes you just need to learn how to sit through things and experience things and like let things flow through you, as fucking dumb as it sounds. For me personally, I've done a lot of I've tried to do some healing and inner work, and the way that kind of showed up for me was figuring out what kind of attachment style I had. And I found out that I am very anxiously attached when it comes to the majority of the relationships in my life, whether it's with friendships, with partners, or with family members. And one thing that I've learned is that I, based on my attachment style, have the tendency to co-regulate. And what this means is when I'm feeling dysregulated, I will go to other people to help calm me down or help regulate my nervous system. And in order for me to effectively move forward in my healing journey, I need to learn how to self-regulate. And I found that within, BPD, everything kind of pops up all at once, but with anxiety, I have the tendency to co-regulate. And what that looks like for me is when I'm experiencing dysregulation, whether it's something that's seemingly a minor inconvenience or something that's quite large, I have the tendency to contact friends. And that can be, at least for me, in my experience, has the tendency to be very detrimental to all of my friendships. I'm not saying if you're feeling dysregulated, don't go to your friends. That's not what I'm saying. But I've had the tendency to depend so heavily on other people when I'm feeling dysregulated that it's actually really negatively impacted other relationships. And it's made me not an effective friend. And there was an instance recently that I had where I realized that I was going to a friend of mine too much, and it was starting to impact her. And I wasn't being an effective friend. I wasn't being there for her. So I had to pull back. And now when I'm feeling dysregulated, I try really hard to not contact her or other people. And I try to go back into self. That being said, fucking easier said than done. And it's all subjective too. You can be experiencing the smallest thing, seemingly, to other people, but to you, it's like a huge fucking deal. And sometimes people just don't get that shit. Do you know what I mean? It's hard, right? Because anxiety can manifest in so many different ways. The biggest thing for me is just like excessive worrying. When it comes to excessive worrying and self-doubt, I saw this somewhere and I thought it was really interesting. Basically, in order to get to a point where you are limiting excessive worry when it comes to self-doubt, is creating this like undeniable stack of proof of you are who the fuck you are, right? And for me, that kind of manifests as me showing the fuck up for myself every goddamn day. Whether that's through nutrition, through training, through doing like what I said I was going to do. It's all about learning how to trust yourself and doing the things that you say that you're going to do. Basically, what I mean is over time, you will stack small wins. And how I got to a point in my life where I was succeeding more so than I guess I ever have. Not that I'm necessarily succeeding now, but it all kind of, for me, started in the gym. And when I started in the gym, that's when I started improving my nutrition. And then with improved nutrition, I started improving my sleep. And then with that, I started taking care of myself more. I started brushing my teeth every single day, flossing every single day, making sure that my apartment was super clean. And it just kind of evolved into every single part of my life. And I became able to trust myself. So over time, these small, tiny little skills and habits that I've formed have allowed me to trust myself. And it's basically brought me to a point where I have this undeniable stack of proof of this is who the fuck I am. I can trust myself. So in moments when I'm experiencing this like crippling self-doubt, I have evidence to kind of fall back on to say, no, this is who the fuck I am. Like I'll have moments where I'm just like, okay, I'm not that interesting, or I'm too needy, and that's why people don't want to be friends with me. But it's really like, am I aligning myself with the right people? Because originally I wasn't, and now I am. It's important to try not to internalize people's perceptions of you. That being said, it's really hard with anxiety, and it can be so fucking debilitating and challenging to deal with. But again, it's about learning how to trust yourself and truly knowing yourself, as like fucking insane as that sounds. At the end of the day, I mean, we all do experience anxiety to some degree, right? To some, it's more crippling than others. But it's about being able to recognize and identify what's going on with you internally. And like, some people have a big fucking problem with labels. I'm not one of them. Labels and diagnoses. Like, some people really have a big problem with people that have the diagnosis of generalized anxiety disorder. And I received that diagnosis, I believe, when I was 13. And I don't actually think that diagnoses are a bad thing, because I've said this before and I'll say it again. When you are able to actually identify the problem, then it's a lot easier to come up with a solution. If you don't know why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, how the fuck are you supposed to fix it? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and I say at the end of the day a lot, but fuck it, we ball, it's fine. If you're feeling anxious, be kind to yourself and do something that's just for you. Like, I have been going on live every single night while I'm cooking, and in the morning when I'm cooking too. And tonight I was like, girl, I am not feeling it. I am so fucking dysregulated. I need to do something that is literally just for me. And I'm going to cook on my own, and I'm going to have a nice little night, and everything's going to be okay. It doesn't feel okay. I feel like I can't breathe right now. Sometimes you got to just sit through shit. Sometimes there's not anything that you can do to make yourself feel better except for allowing yourself to feel things. So one thing that I didn't talk about that I have the tendency to do is when I'm feeling super dysregulated and super anxious and I can't get out of my head, I like to ice my vagus nerve. So I'll literally just take like ground turkey and place it on my chest and just sit like that in silence for quite an extended period of time. Usually I'm like watching, I don't know, like a Netflix show or something, but I'll literally have like an ice block on my chest for like an hour. And it has the tendency to help, you know? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Girl, this episode was kind of all over the place. I appreciate you listening, but what the fuck? We're doing the best we can. It's hard to record this shit when I am feeling so dysregulated. And to be autistic is to live in a constant state of dysregulation. So when it's combined with an anxiety attack, it's just super cute, super fun for everybody involved, especially for you guys who are listening to this and trying to gain some value from it. Girl, all I know to be true is that I am sending love to you guys, to anyone who deals with anxiety or mental health issues, because this shit can be so beyond debilitating. Like, not me dissociating right now. It's just hard to deal with this shit. So if you are dealing with it, hats off to you, girly pop, because dealing with mental health issues is fucking hard. And one more thing that I'm going to say before I go is don't invalidate your own struggles just because you think that someone else has more going on than you do. I think that we all have a tendency to do that, where when we're going through something, we could, like, we say to ourselves, oh, well, I don't have it as bad as this person. Everything is subjective and it's open to interpretation, and you can have the same incident happen to two people and their experiences are totally different. At the end of the day, don't invalidate your own experiences just because someone seemingly has it worse than you. Because you don't know really what they're dealing with it and how they perceive to be, like, what's going on. I don't know if that makes sense, girly pop. All I know is we all suffer from anxiety to a degree, and we all suffer with self-doubt. But, I don't know, girl, there are ways to deal with it. And sometimes you just gotta sit through it. That's what I'm learning. I don't know about this podcast, y'all. Sometimes I record this shit and I'm just like, that was dumb. That was stupid. So if you have feedback for me, I would honestly love to hear it. If you liked this episode for some reason, if you are watching it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if you could hook me up with a 5-star rating, girly pop, I would appreciate it. It just helps get the podcast to more people. If you're watching it on YouTube, the video version, comment below. Let me know if you like it. I don't know, subscribe, smash that like button, girl. If you like it. If you don't, then don't do it. If you hated it, please tell me. Please tell me why you didn't like it, because honestly, I just want to make this better. And I'm just learning, y'all. We're just trying to do things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But we're just kind of trying things out. Anyway, I am experiencing a lot of anxiety personally, so I am going to take some time for me, and I am going to cook myself a good meal, and then I'm going to go to sleep, and I'm going to wake up, and then I'm going to edit this podcast. Anyway, this has been the 4th episode of 10 Years in Bed. If you have gotten this far, thank you so much for listening. And sending love to you, because if you're listening to this, it's highly likely that you are too mentally ill. And we really be navigating the world and dealing with some hard ass shit. So anyway, love y'all. Hope everybody has a lit fucking day, a lit night, and that's it. That's it. It's done. We done, girly pop. Slay.